Rob and Slim Show.
Hey guys, it's Isaac Thorne.
Isaac, how are you, dude?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good, good. We're enjoying the weather finally cooling off a little. I don't know about down there in Tennessee, but it's been so hot up here, and like humid and disgusting. But then yesterday, like it was 80 degrees when I left my house for work, and then by my first break, it was like 40. It was freezing. It was too much, too drastic, too soon. Too soon.
Yeah, we're having the extreme swings down here too. But you guys, I think, have a huge thunderstorm headed your way.
Well, we
if I'm
did.
not mistaken.
We had some like
Oh, you've already had it.
nor'easter or
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Yeah, New England got hit the worst, like North Jersey and all. We didn't have it as much, but we did have a lot of rain down here. A lot of rain and shit. But all that garbage. How have you been down there, man?
I've been doing okay. You know, I was looking forward to fall all summer, and then summer lasted about a month longer than it should have.
It's probably gonna be back. I feel like it's gonna.
But it's finally good.
Nice. And as you know, this is our last season, my friend. You've been around for a while. You've been with us, I think, second or third season. So thank you for all the great conversations and all that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's been since 2016 at least.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've been a fan of the show, you know, for forever. So, sad to see you go, but also understand that times change and you got to do what you got to do. You know.
Yeah, and there's other guys like the king of radio show. We gotta let him.
Yeah,
we gotta let him reign.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was gonna ask too, Isaac, and I do appreciate, and you mentioned being a listener of the show as well. With or without Slambo, better, worse, same.
Oh man, I hate to diss Slambo, but I really haven't noticed that much of a difference.
He never really added too much.
You and us both, my friend, and probably everyone else. He never added much, and
He was more like a prop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or when I needed him to like pour shit on himself
Right.
in the bathroom. Like he was stunt boy. He was stunt boy if we know if we want to be real. And I don't know.
Right.
You've listened for so long. Do you feel like the show's gotten better over time, or what? Like favorite moment, favorite interview, any of it?
Oh, it's absolutely gotten better. I mean, your interview techniques have improved, and you kept getting, you know, like better and better guests, or not better, but more high profile
Yeah.
guests
Yeah.
over the years too. Like Spencer Grammer.
Yes.
I thought that was a really good interview that you guys did with her, and sorry that she hasn't been back. I honestly thought she would be a return guest over the years.
I was
but,
hoping too. I've even asked her.
And
but
Frankie.
Yeah. Frankie. So good. So good. Yeah, no, and I've always thought like
Frankie and I followed each other on Twitter.
awesome. That's
We followed
awesome.
each other on Twitter after he appeared on your show.
Cool. Yeah, no, and like I've always been a little amazed myself. I mean, you know, we've had a good guest, and then like I'll still get good guests, like or like you said, high profile. Like it's never
Yeah.
over, never over till it's over. But thank you too, though, Isaac, for helping me with my next project and making that awesome intro for the Robin Two Crows show.
Absolutely. Sometimes I couldn't believe when you sent me the sound bites. I couldn't believe what those crows were saying, you know.
All
And
right.
That was
thought
pretty
that
nasty.
might be a little too spicy to put in that intro there, but
It might be, but they're better than Slim.
He actually brought 2 more crows with him today, so we
Yeah.
now have 4 crows.
Well, yeah, but I don't use the same crows twice in my show.
Never repeat a crow.
You only keep the old crows around, if you know what I mean, huh? Isaac, I'm pretty sure you've said before, October is your busiest time of the year. Is that correct?
yeah, it really is. That's I mean it's busy for me, you know, both in work and personally. Honestly, I used to take actually take as much time off work as I could in October, because just there's a lot going on outside in my personal life in that month. For some reason, it always ends up that way. But definitely, I get on many more podcasts in October, and there's just a lot to keep up with, you know.
Do you notice your book sales? Do they go? Sorry, I got my asthma going on. Do you notice your book sales jump in October?
I haven't noticed it this year. I will say that in the past, I've usually tried to release something free or new in October that would kind of boost all that. And this time I didn't. I just never got around to it. I've got a few things that are due to other people and other publications that I'm still trying to crank out before the end of the month. So I haven't noticed it as much this year as I have in the past.
Okay, that's what I didn't know. I didn't know if just the time of year like drew people more to you, or that kind of a thing, or even somebody that maybe considered buying it before. They're like, okay, now it's the time of year for this kind of a thing. So
yeah, and there's so much competition in October for horror stuff.
Okay,
anyway, for horror entertainment. You know, whether it's stuff you're reading or stuff you're watching. I mean, everybody is has their hands on a horror catalog for this month. So the options are plenty, and the audience spread thin. You know.
And I wanted to ask too. I always knew that you did the Scream Radio thing, but what's THN Horror News? Is that a new thing you do?
It's not new. I've actually been writing for them for a while. Tennessee Horror News.
Okay.
It is a company that two guys in Middle and East Tennessee, two lifelong friends, started up a while back, and they've started a podcast called The Horror Basement, and out of that spawned their website where they post reviews and news, and they've kind of branched out beyond horror now, but I write movie reviews and stuff like that for them from time to time.
That's cool. Do they approach you or do the filmmakers approach you?
Either way. It used to be that Jimmy, the owner, would get screeners and pass them along. But now, as I've kind of established myself there, they'll either come through him or I'll get information directly from a publicist or something like that.
Cool. Very cool. Nice. Yeah. And how's writing going? We know the last few times we've talked, you said you were working on a new book in the universe of the Gordon Plays.
Yeah, it's in the same universe, in the same town, in fact, but about 64 years earlier than the events of the Gordon Place, and it's moving along. I would say I'm more than 2/3 done with the draft I'm working on right now, and hope to have that complete and in the rewrite stage before the end of the year. I've got a title for it even now. It's called Hellspring. And it's a new novel that I'm aiming for a 2022 release on.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to ask if you had a title yet for it.
Yeah, I actually released a teaser trailer for it, I think last month in September, I think, as sort of a motivator for myself, because you let too much time go by and other stuff gets in the way, and you don't, sit down and do the work. So in order to kind of motivate myself to get back to it, I put out this teaser trailer with a coming 2022 date on it.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like that's a good way to set a deadline for yourself, or like that you put something out that something's coming, now you have to deliver on that.
Right, exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Nice. And do you have anything you could read for us, either from that or
Absolutely.
from something else?
Yeah, and again, this is all first draft, so you know, take that for what it is.
Cool.
In this stage of writing, it's not polished, so there's likely to be some run-on sentences and stuff along the way. But I picked out what right now is one of my favorite scenes that I've written for it so far, and it's kind of late in the book, like, you know, closer to that 2/3 mark. So it doesn't have a chapter number yet or anything, but yeah, I've got about words here I can read for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Isaac.
And if you guys are ready, I'll start.
Yep.
Whenever you're
ready
ready.
to go.
Awesome. All right. This is from Hellspring. Somewhere in the drowning darkness beyond the walls of Beard's General, a feeder line that was poorly maintained by the Hollow County power utilities swung violently in the thunderstorm's gales. With each fresh gust of hot breath from the atmospheric rage, the line bowed. The repeated strains against the cable splice had separated it enough to create an arc of brilliant orange-yellow light as the current that flowed through it made the valiant effort to continue its journey through Lost Hollow, only to find itself channeled into the open wind, rain, and thunder. It was not enough to sever the line entirely from its mooring, so when the gusts finally bellowed themselves out, the line settled back into its groove, as did the current. Inside Beard's General, the event created a frustrating and terrifying strobe effect. The store's overhead lights flickered on and off as the cable outside strained and relaxed. With every dive into darkness, Peter Mayberry worried that the beast calling herself Marilyn would wake and burst from the depths of her deep freeze before he could secure the door. And with each flooding of brilliant interior light that followed, he had to wait a moment for his eyes to adjust before resuming the work he'd been only feeling his way through seconds earlier. Peter stood with his left foot firmly on the floor in front of the freezer box. The other was raised and pressed hard against the door, leaving a smudgy sole print on the Arctic white enamel that he doubted would ever be noticed among the debris from the other damage the creature had caused. Peter noticed a tow chain looped around a hook nearby. It was just the right length and link width to thread around the complete circumference of the appliance once, with enough left over at each end to wind multiple passes in a square knot at the door handle. He threaded the two ends of the chain through the handle and used the force of his legs and back against the weight of the box itself to pull it taut. He had just enough time to fix the knot before the next round of darkness enveloped him. He relaxed his hold on the chain ends and stepped back from the freezer, not taking his eyes off where it should have been sitting, even though he couldn't see it at all just then. His shoulders, biceps, thighs, and calves thrummed with relief. He could still feel the pattern of the steel chain links sunk into the palms of his hands. He must have been gripping them hard indeed. Would their makeshift prison box hold her? For how long? He couldn't be sure. With the others reduced to, well, whatever it was they had been reduced to, he'd just have to pray that it would hold, at least until the thunderstorm and its downpours passed, or sunup, whichever came first. The lights flickered on again. In front of him, the freezer held fast shut. Peter sighed, relieved, but a skittering sound from somewhere behind him made short work of his comfort. He wheeled around to find 5 of the 6 tiny, shining black creatures that had once been his Lost Hollow friends and neighbors, gathered in a loose semicircle on the floor before him. They had somehow managed to scale the smooth interior of the Schluter Deluxe mop bucket he had dropped them into one by one over the course of the night. They stood still around him, as if they'd been watching with interest his progress on Marilyn's new holding cell. The smallest of them, what remained of Theo, he presumed, held a scrap of the bucket's peeling manufacturer's label in one minuscule claw. Peter sat on his haunches in front of the group and pried the scrap of paper loose from the critter's grip. Pinched between his thumb and forefinger, he turned the paper over and held it close to his eyes for examination. White block letters E and A floated before him on a black background. They'd probably been ripped from the word heavy in the company's logo. Quality heavy metalware, it had originally said. Meaningless. He allowed the piece of label to flutter to the floor and regarded his new friends through narrowed eyes. "What are you now?" he asked them. "What do you want me to do?" There was, of course, no answer. Every pulse of telepathic connectivity he had been able to establish with the others while they were human had diminished now. That night, that might have been because Marilyn was no longer conscious, assuming his own powers happened to depend on his connection to her. He suspected that they did. Then again, he wasn't sure the little beings on the floor in front of him could communicate with him on the level of a human brain even if they wanted to. Peter shut his eyes and tried to reach out to them anyway, any of them. Well, he reached out to all except Theo, who even when he was human had been nonverbal with a mind full of little but flashes of light, color, random noise that might have been words if he had heard them with an ear that understood them, and the face of his mother. He signaled all 4 of the others by calling out the names of the other 5 adults who had taken refuge in the storm: Kathy, Jerry, Eli, Mark, Donna. He imagined his psychic sweep operating like sonar on a submarine, silently scouring the area around him, waiting for that one ping that would echo the presence of another vessel. Alas, none arrived. Peter glanced behind him. The door of the freezer was still shut. No banging, no rocking, no rattling. No signs of life from within. His sonar picked up no signals from Marilyn herself, either. Satisfied that he was alone with the skitterers, at least for a little while, he seated himself crisscross on the floor in front of them and leaned forward, his elbows on his knees and his chin propped atop steepled fingers. He stared at the tiny creatures for a few seconds. They were all a gleaming squid ink black. There were no other markings, nothing that might enable him to determine which had been whom, save for the smallness of the smallest one that was probably Theo. Each of the skitterers had a long, segmented abdomen that petered out into a wedge-shaped tail. The tail thinned and fanned at the end so that it became almost transparent at the tip. Each abdomen was connected to a generously wide thorax. The underside edges of the thorax sprouted spindly legs, 4 to a side. Each of those legs consisted of 2 long muscular segments that were separated by some kind of backwards-looking knee or elbow joint. Attached to the front of each critter, located just under its beady black eyes and long quivering antenna, was another pair of legs, these thicker than those of the thorax, and on each end of those front legs sat 2 lobster-like pincers. Crawdads, Peter thought. The end.
Sounds fucking cool, Isaac. I can't wait. Can't wait to read it. It sounds like amazing.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you. And is it Hell or Hell's Spring?
Hell.
Hellspring.
Hell.
Okay.
Hellspring. Yes.
Cool. Awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they are, how they became what they are. And
I kind of want to know what the powers are that like the one character was getting from the one character that was knocked out.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you said they were telepathic, but
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
All will be revealed next year.
Nice. Thank you. Sweet. Maybe I'll have you back on the Robin Two Crows show. I'm sure we will.
There you go.
I was going to ask too, Isaac. Have you seen the new Halloween movie? Is that out yet?
I have seen it. I was going to wait until actual Halloween night to watch it.
I was going to say you were going to say talk about it. I was going to say don't talk about it if you were waiting to talk about it on something. But
No. I was going to wait to watch it until Halloween night, but then I rewatched the 2018 Halloween and just couldn't wait any longer. So I went ahead and watched it late last week, I think. And I enjoyed it. It's been kind of divisive among horror fans and Halloween fans in particular. But I thought it was really well done. Dialogue and underdeveloped motivations aside. So
cool. Yeah, I did want to check it out. What was the 2018 one? Was that a Rob Zombie one, or was that the other?
The same guy that just did the one that's released.
Yes, I was gonna say. I thought there was
Gordon Green. I think I forget
one other one.
Yeah,
David Gordon Green. Is that his name?
David Gordon Green. Yeah, the 2018 one was the also a
Blumhouse. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I never got to see that one.
And it's direct sequel to the first.
You're
We're
lagging,
breaking up, Isaac.
Isaac.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're
Can you
lagging.
hear me?
You're,
Yeah, we
I
got
think
you now.
You were a little laggy there.
Yeah.
It's a direct sequel to John Carpenter's original one, correct?
Oh.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah,
So-
exactly.
So I actually I've been watching all of John Carpenter's films this month because I've only seen, actually don't know if I really seen any of his films until now, but I had never seen the original Halloween, and man, that first
That's a good
Halloween
one.
movie
Yeah.
is really, really just amazing.
Besides the Rob Zombies, that's the only one I've ever seen. I've never seen the sequels. I think maybe I tried to watch
wow.
a second, but I didn't feel like it was as good.
That original.
I was listening to another podcast earlier today where they were talking about how the 1978 movie just remains so amazing that, you know, one of the reasons people are so disappointed with sequels is nothing can ever really live up to that first one, you know.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I had never seen that movie, so I always just assumed that like it was going to be this over the top gory movie, but it wasn't. That the killing was very very realistic because he's just kind of choking people, and it's really like scarier than the over the top like I'm gonna gut you alive, but just him, you know, holding that one guy up and then just stabs once. Like it makes it way scarier for sure. And just the fact that movie was so slow, like the killing didn't happen until the very end, but like all the dialogue and all the stalking that he does throughout the movie, it was just very well done.
Yes, the creepiest thing about Michael Myers is he walks. He does not chase you. He just walks.
Just
after
walks.
you.
Yeah. He doesn't give a shit. He don't need to run.
Yeah.
He got nothing to prove.
And then just the dialogue in that first movie from Donald Pleasance, he played Loomis. Every fucking line he had in that movie was amazing in that first one.
Yes. And even if it wasn't an amazing written line, the way he delivered it would be amazing anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I want to ask two real quick before we have to wrap up, Isaac. The last season of Rick and Morty, how'd you feel? I gave up about 4 episodes in. I just felt like they were almost good, but none of them ever delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that last season a little difficult. I watched all of them, but I found it a little difficult to stay interested in last season.
I watched the last
well.
two because of Slim. He didn't make me, but we got here early one day and he had me watch the Two Crows, which ended up being amazing. The Rick and Two Crows. Yes. And then the one after, I liked that it continued that at the beginning, but then with the Citadel and all, it just got really convoluted and whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'll give it another chance, but like I said, 4 episodes into last season, I'm like, I'm done with this. I can't anymore. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. And the last Walking Dead half season, how'd you feel? I loved it.
I'm actually more excited for this wrap up of The Walking Dead than I've been for previous seasons. I absolutely love Princess.
Oh,
She
me too.
is my favorite character.
Yes.
I hate that it took so long for Princess to come into the
Yes, and I feel like Slim said last time we talked, he said in the comic they kind of just like trailed off with her and didn't go anywhere. I feel like this show is going somewhere with her, and yeah. I love her. I'm so on edge to see what happens with those Commonwealth people. And what's the other thing? What are those, that group that they're fighting, that Daryl and Maggie
one that
and Negan?
Daryl's girlfriend is in.
Yes.
So they were like the Reapers.
The Reapers, yes. Thanks,
Right.
Slim.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And they weren't in the comics, Slim said. So, like,
No.
I kind of want Slim to watch this last season, but even myself, having watched every season, sometimes I'm still confused. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people, and who is this person? But I feel like they're still doing a great job with it, and it's been better. It just keeps getting better. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still like it when pretty much everyone is together with one goal. When they spread out into factions and we have all these different stories that take place over multiple episodes, I sort of get lost too. But
Yeah, sometimes it is hard to keep track of, but it's still been really good. Really good. And I like how they started at least this last half season, where usually the first episode is like a recap and then walking through the woods and just either reminiscing or like getting used to each other again, where this one just got right into some story. It didn't give us like, oh, we're sad because we lost the mom or whatever. Like, yeah, we got right into it. So it's cool. Isaac, thank you again, man. Thank you as always.
Yeah.
You're always a great guest, I always love seeing you listening to the show, and your books are amazing. Thank you so much, Isaac, for being part of
Absolutely. Thank you guys, and my best to Slim on his next adventure and on Robin Two Crows.
Yeah, Slim's going to be doing some movies with men, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Isaac, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at my website, isaacthorne.com, and that is Thorne with an E. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Isaac R. Thorne, also with an E.
Awesome, man. Take care, Isaac.
Have a good one, Isaac.
You too.